Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, and this is a meeting of the Acushnet Board of Selectmen. Please rise for the national anthem. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Minutes need to be approved by the Board of Selectmen. We have none. Number 3 on the fire chief. Number 3 on the agenda is the fire chief appointment. Gentlemen, I'm going to open this up. If there's anything either of you would like to say first before I comment, that would be fine. I can open up Mr. Lona, Mr. Gaspar.
You're the chairman, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, I'd like to thank both candidates, Mr. Filan and Mr. Arruda, for putting their hats in the ring on this matter. It's not very often. I know, Dave, you mentioned the other day that this is a once in a, I think you call it a lifetime.
Once in a generation.
One in a generation. For me, I've been through, I'm going on to my 3rd town administrator, 2nd police chief, and now the 2nd fire chief in my 3 short years on this board. But I'd like to thank both candidates for everything they've done and the way they participated in this event or in this process. Speaking about the process, just to recap, at our December 14th meeting for the Board of Selectmen, the chief presented the way the process was going to be put out. And to put it in a nutshell, there was 60% total from the assessment center, 20% from education, and 20% from experience on the fire and EMS department. And those totaled up gave us our results. And as a result of the process, and upon completion of a successful contract negotiation, the Board of Selectmen appoint Thomas Filan as the new fire chief in the town of Acushnet. Thomas, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you, gentlemen. I look forward to the future. I just want to thank you, gentlemen, for your consistency in wanting to keep it in-house and keep the momentum that Chief Gallagher has started over his last 19 years as chief and keep it moving forward in the right direction. I'd like to thank Chief Gallagher for all of his hard work and all of his mentor that he's provided to Eric and I so far, and all that he's going to continue to give us in the next couple of months. I'd like to thank Eric for the last 20 years. He's been by my side pushing me, and I hope I've been pushing him just as hard. And I think we're in a good place, and I think with Eric's help by my side, continuing to be by my side, that we'll see it through.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your comments. Gentlemen?
Tommy, known you for a while, known Mr. Arruda for a while. You're both great individuals. Looking through all the material, I've read through all the written questions and things of the like. You both did a great job, although I had a small weighting towards one of the candidates. And the outcome is the outcome, right? We set those parameters early on so that would be decided with a process of integrity and not political. I think that's what's important, what this board has done, both for the police chief appointment and also now the fire chief's appointment, is we didn't make it political. I think that's the biggest thing for me as a board member. With honesty and integrity, the process went through, and the results are what the results are. We have the scoring. If either candidate wants to review them later, that's fine. But I've gotten to watch both of you two individuals work together, as you just said, hand in hand, and you're a great team. You really are, and that's what's important to me. And I think through some of those written questions that I identified, that's what I identified the most, was the teamwork in both of your languages. So I hope that continues into the future. And we will continue to build a great team at Fire and EMS. I'm confident of that, as long as we have both of you two individuals on board every day, striving for the same goal for the community. You know, I couldn't ask for a better result. It really didn't matter, but the score is what the score is, and I'm proud to have you as the next fire chief, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Gasper.
So, Mr. Aruda, by no way, shape, or form is this anything less than exponential for yourself as well, right? I think it was a good move on your behalf to do what you did. You did great through the assessment center. It's just, there can only be one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to your leadership as well in the department, because I know that your leadership is key to that department. So you both bring a little bit different attributes to the fire and EMS, right? And I recognize that in the written questions and, you know, the exams, and I identified that, and I was like, it's tough, right? But I can only have one. So I think that you both play a key role in fire and EMS now that we're one, fire and EMS. So I look forward to working with both of you individuals in the future and making that department even better than what it is today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I echo what Mr. Gasper said. Tom, congratulations. Mr. Farland, congratulations to you and your family. And Eric, congratulations to you. I think this process really, again, you know, having the assessment center, you know, conduct this process and having a, you know, a fully transparent process established from the get-go was really beneficial to this board. But I would, you know, urge you both to look at the assessment center. And I think that's identified some strengths in things that, you know, I think as a department we want to build upon. You know, as I had my feelings about the candidacies, but at the end of the day, we've got a great leader here, and we can only have one person in the seat. And so I think that's a testament to you, gentlemen. I know we've talked about, you know, the position of captain. I would urge this board to really, really consider the position of captain for Mr. Aruda. That I think is fair, and one that would show our commitment to these two gentlemen who went through this process. So I know that's not the time to do that. Today's your day, Mr. Farland, but I do ask the board to really give it serious consideration moving forward. So with that, congratulations to both of you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, to both you gentlemen, very good. Mr. Aruda, my sentiments have been spoken, you know, by both my fellow select board members. You know, we need, one person was appointed, but I appreciate all the efforts that you do every day and will continue to do for the EMS Fire Department of Acushnet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We need a motion to appoint Mr. Farland, right?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to appoint Tom Farland as the next fire chief.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Is it unanimous?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah.
He made a motion, I seconded.
Yep. All in favor? Aye.
It's all depending on a successful contract negotiation, but, yeah, just saying.
Should we get a photo of Mr. Farland?
Why
And
not?
I think, before we do that, I just want to touch on what Mr. Warner brought up about the captain's position. I think when we share the results with you two candidates, and then it's up to you whether who you want to share those results with, I think it would be a good idea that you both sink your teeth into those results, because I think it is telling, as I said in the written questions, even maybe if you want to share those responses with each other, and you guys can work with each other's weaknesses and strengths, right? And that's how we'll become a much better department moving forward. And I think that's key to understanding with Mr. Aruda is and where you are, Mr. Farland, and I think that's going to help you lead the pack. So I think that's very important for you two gentlemen to sit down, and if you want to just share it amongst yourselves, so be it. I don't think it's anybody else's business, quite honestly, unless you choose to have it somebody else's business, but I think it's a great idea that you two gentlemen sit down and vet that out and see and plan for the future, right? I think you, Mr. Fallon, you spoke a lot about that in your interviews with this board, about team, right? And that's what it's really about. Everybody's part of the team, right? It's not just you two, but it's not, they're bringing everyone together, right? So.
Excellent, very good.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
you should do a 3-minute recess for photos.
Okay, do I have a motion for a 3-minute recess?
So moved.
We got a second? I'll
Second.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Do I have a motion to come out of recess?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me. Okay, it's 4:10. Next on our agenda, we have appointments. And gentlemen, do I have a motion to open a public hearing? Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138, Section 15A of the Massachusetts General Laws that an open Board of Selectmen's meeting will be held at the Acushnet Town Hall, which is located at 122 Main Street, Acushnet, Mass., in the meeting room on Tuesday, April 12th, 2022 at 4:10 to approve a transfer of an annual restaurant all alcoholic liquor license from Armands of Southeastern Mass, Inc., doing business as Blue Point Restaurant, David Riccardi, manager, to SAI Silver Corp., doing business as Blue Point Restaurant, Natasha Silva, manager. These premises consist of 5 rooms and a waiting area, service, bar, dining room, kitchen, and takeout area with bathrooms and no basement in a 1-story building. The premises is situated on the north side of Dayton Street and numbered 6 Dayton Street, Acushnet, Mass. 02743. Gentlemen, do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. Let's see, do I have Natasha Silva present?
Yes.
Hello, Natasha.
Hello.
Please, come up to the podium. Just introduce yourself.
I am Natasha Silva.
Hello, Natasha. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and it says here that you're purchasing the Blue Point Restaurant here
Oh,
in
yeah.
Acushnet,
Yes.
one of which I frequent
Oh, that's awesome.
very much, so.
Awesome.
In this process, I'd just like to ask you a few questions.
Of course.
And if you can give us the answers, we can go from there.
Yes.
So, Tasha, what's your history in the business, in the restaurant business?
I've been doing it for 14 years in the restaurant business. I've done pretty much everything in the restaurant except the back. I've always loved the restaurant industry. And then I decided to do real estate, so that's what I started doing. And then this opportunity came very close to Lisa, so when this opportunity came for her to retire, I jumped because I love it. So I love Acushnet. So I figured it was a great opportunity for me.
Okay.
Dave's still going to be the chef there, and I'm working hand in hand with him and Lisa.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. What was the last restaurant that you are?
The last restaurant was Club 65,
Okay.
and then I also ran Roasted Pig over there in New Bedford. Those were the last
Okay.
2.
Yep, yep. Off Belleville Avenue, I believe, Roasted
Yep,
Steak?
right near Nash Road.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. So you have safe serve, all your training, that sort of,
Correct.
in those areas?
Yep.
You got those covered?
Yep. I
Mhm.
probably have to renew the Safe Serve, but I will be doing that.
Okay. All right. Will you be the manager at site?
Yes, I will be.
Okay, that's good. And are you planning on keeping the same name of the restaurant?
Same name, same hours,
Uh-huh.
same everything. We're probably going to add some good stuff to the menu. Me and Dave are going to work closely together. But the hours of operation are going to stay the same.
Okay,
What he's done there is awesome. So I don't want to change anything.
Okay.
I just want to enhance it, and I want me and him to work closely with that.
you think you're gonna be keeping the same staff, or is it gonna be that kind of
Definitely.
transition?
Of course, as long as they want to stay, I definitely want them to stay.
Okay, that's good.
This is a staple of Acushnet, so I don't want to change anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, gentlemen, any questions or comments?
That's great. I mean, we're in the hospitality industry's taking a beating during COVID.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
But,
Horrible.
I love seeing the cook, the takeout and the
Yep,
system you have
get it
there,
going
and,
again. Mhm.
Fridays in Lent with the fish and chips. And,
Oh yeah,
it's
oh
just
my God, the famous fish
It
and
becomes
chips.
kind of an event standing outside waiting
Yeah.
for your food. So congratulations for you.
Thank
and,
you.
I think it's awesome and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
good. So, I believe I have to close this meeting out. Open meeting.
Close the public.
So, gentlemen, do I have a motion to close the public's session of this open meeting.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and gentlemen, do I have a motion to, this is the transfer of the annual restaurant all alcoholic license from Southeast Mass Inc. to SA Silver Corp.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, the township-
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you guys so
Very good.
much. I
Best of
appreciate it.
luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next under appointments, we have a 6 o'clock meeting with Rep. Schmidt and Rep. Strauss, so we're gonna table this portion of our agenda until that time, when they can be present for the meeting. I'm gonna go out of order here a little bit, because I think I can help out our golf superintendent,
Who gets up
Steve
there?
Tibbles. And I can move you up, so you're not spending the next hour and a half listening to budget discussion and warrant
Thank you.
articles.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Good afternoon, Steve.
I may not have to go to bed before 8 o'clock. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, folks. Just two small, short items that I have to present this evening. If you remember, I believe it was back in November, Golf Committee came to the Board of Selectmen with a equipment purchase request, which included 4 items. One was a fairway mower, one was a tee mower, one was a greens roller, and the other was a walk-behind tee mower. At that time, that package was put together as a 5-year dollar buyout lease. That was approved by this board, and we moved forward with the purchase agreement, only to learn from Turf Products in January that the 2 items on that list, the fairway mower and the tee mower, will not be available till 2023. In lieu of that, and learning that the other 2 items were available, I went back to the leasing company and said, okay, we can get the walker and we can get the roller, but we need a quote on a new 5-year dollar buyout lease just for those 2 pieces of equipment, since the other 2 pieces would not be available. So went back to the leasing company, which is the leasing company that works through Turf Products Corporation, or Toro. They came back to us with a 60-month or 5-year dollar buyout lease with an annual payment of $7,220 for those 2 pieces of equipment. The total cost of which, combining the 2 costs of the 2 pieces of equipment, was $31,827.97. Presented this to the golf committee, and the golf committee at their 24 March 2022 meeting approved that 5-year dollar buyout lease for those 2 items, and they requested at that time that I come before you to get approval of this 5-year lease, since the initial 5-year lease has changed because the 2 other items were not available, will not be available till 2023.
Yes, Mr. Gasper.
What was the original funding source for these 2, Steve? I forget that. Did that money's been appropriated already, and what is exactly that you're asking? Because I know you're saying the total as far as $31,000.
I believe the original funding source was to come through. I believe I would imagine they call it actually no. I think it was going to be funded on an annual basis based on the capital equipment or the equipment lease. For instead of having 12 individual month payments, there was going to be one payment of $7,220 annually, and I believe that was, as they do with golf carts and other equipment, just an additional lease for equipment purchase. My understanding, I didn't present the original lease to the Board of Selectmen. I believe Mr. Isaacs did, or bought it onto the agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
And one other thing I didn't mention was that this payment will not start till FY 2023. So the actual lease would be, first payment is due 30 days after the equipment is delivered, so equipment would not be delivered until we get till the middle of June. Therefore, it would require that the first payment be in FY 2023, which is how the golf committee requested it be set up.
So I don't know if that's additional dollars that would need to be added to the budget.
There's presently 64,143 for equipment leases, and I believe that
might
was
be golf
in it.
carts. So
No, that's separate from the golf cart.
Yeah, the original 64 was, I believe, was the total package.
Yeah,
And then because the total package could not be completed at that time.
Yeah. So if the funding's there
Yes.
already
yes.
and it's been approved, that's fine. I just know that there's 2 outstanding articles that golf has. One is in the amount of $12,787, if that's still up to date from the records that I received. And Mr. Kelly gave it to me, so it's gonna be pretty new. And there's another article from a special town meeting on 11/20 in the amount of $19,625. So all I would do is ask Mr. Kelly to look at that. Instead of taking the money from reserve, there's a reserve line item at the top of the budget. Instead of expending money from the reserve account, if those 2 articles could be used for that, because it is capital, those 2 articles are for capital equipment,
I
perhaps.
believe, if I'm not mistaken, of the approximately $31,000 that he just gave a total on, I believe some of that monies were spent for 2 isolation valves. I believe it would cover this, but I believe there's about 21 or.
It is in the budget, but we'll check
Yeah.
the article.
Just something to look at. I mean, if the 2, what
What
we're trying to do is.
One article's 2019, one's 2020, I believe.
Yeah, it is, it's correct. So if there's money available, what we're gonna be doing was working with Mr. Kelly for all the outstanding articles that we have where money hasn't been expended. And if it hasn't been expended in 2 years, we're gonna look for that money back.
Yeah, because I remember, actually you mentioned that at the last board selectmen's meeting.
So I think that's something now, if we need to use it up.
I will bring that, I mean, the golf committee has its meeting next Thursday. Between now and then, I'll check with Mr. Kelly, then I'll bring that up at the
Sure.
next meeting and make sure they're aware of the having, or use it or lose it, basically, for those 2 articles.
That's all,
Very good.
just trying to use it.
Okay, so motion, gentlemen, do I have a motion to approve the 5-year dollar buyout of the lease?
So
The change
Second.
to the
The
lease,
change to
the amendment to the lease.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next you have
Thank you, gentlemen.
request for promotion of a staff member from equipment operator.
Yes, well, for approximately a year or so now, we've had a second assistant position open or not filled. We have a current staff member, Troy Hugassian, who's expressed an interest in that position. He's worked with us now for 5.5 years, and with both myself and our assistant, Kevin Perkins, training him, and he has done a multitude of projects at the course. He came in to see me a couple weeks ago, prior to the beginning of this coming season, so we could discuss what his role would be. He expressed an interest in that position. After discussion, I thought it would be a good move for ourselves, since he's familiar with the property, as well as a good move for filling out our staff. And I thought that the pay rate of $18.50 an hour for that particular position was appropriate. So at the 24 March meeting of the golf committee, I made that presentation as well, and they approved that moving forward and directed me to bring that to your folks' attention for the question of promotion of that individual at that rate.
From what I understand, Mr. Tibbles, it's a very small incremental move, correct?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, very good. Question, Mr. Tibbles, is this does this fill your staff with employees, or are you still looking for
Yes.
more people?
For now, yes, it will be. There's the outside possibility that we might look for one other individual. I've got a full staff now. I do have one person who's has some family member who has some health issues who might not be able to come back. So if that's the case, then I'll look probably to fill that once we get through the first couple months of the season and see if we can maintain the course, the level we desire with the folks that we have on.
Okay. Very good.
Now, there was one other place where golf was on the schedule. I didn't know if you needed me for that.
Where was that?
Budget discussions / articles. Number 2, water sewer golf review of matters present, vote may be taken.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Mr. Kelly, was there?
And it was just to keep the enterprise, the enterprise funds separate from the regular budget. It's just an agenda item. It's not anything that goes beyond what you've already done before.
Right,
Okay.
we've already had that discussion about the budget, so.
Yep.
Okay,
Think
well,
good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate getting to go a little sooner.
You bet.
Night. And I haven't seen any of you out playing golf yet.
I saw you the other day, I waved to you.
Last week I saw you. No, I know, I heard Mr. Gasper's excuse, so
You don't wanna see me on that golf course.
Night.
I'll dig it up.
Gopher?
I know. Yeah.
Next on the agenda tonight, Town Administrator Report, Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, just some quick items. The DPW now projects deficit for ice and snow at $86,068.83. We're looking at that possibly as a final number. There are some other deficits, $28,229.20 in town council, police overtime of $72,803.93, fire overtime $31,716.86, CMAS has $11,102.04, and comp balance is $7,560.59. We are going to have a discussion with the departments on certain of the deficit issues. Ice and snow, you know, is consistent. The town council, there will be a transfer from the land court line to that, so it'll bring it down to probably 11,000. Police overtime, fire overtime is something that has to be addressed. As I said to someone the other day, we're dealing with economics now with the budget. Now we're going to have to turn the page and go to efficiencies. Financial free cash has been certified.
Yes, I saw the email you sent.
Yes, and so it was certified yesterday. So we are able to do all of the warrant articles. We'll deal with the budget and the warrant articles in the next section. Some administrative issues. The test run is ongoing and working with the department manager calendar. It's going to be expanded after this department meeting to go to all departments. Cell phones are being set up and distributed. A master phone list will be provided to the board. The miscellaneous issues, James Street. I've met with the staff concerning some permitting issues. The process has gotten through two departments and as of today is sitting in the final department. I hope by a week's time to report to you it's all done as far as our permitting issues. Lake Street, I'm waiting for DPW, who I'm meeting with Friday. They're setting up an appointment for me with the New Bedford Jamie. And infrastructure, the team will reconvene, the infrastructure team after the budget is finalized. we're waiting to hear in the legislative earmarks, and the senior clerk for the Board of Selectmen Town Administrator interviews are scheduled or being scheduled. The town accountant, we posted that position, and we are posting it also in various professional groups to make sure that we get as wide as possible. And a library tech, there's a person that's been chosen, and I believe the background is in your packet, and if there's no objection, an offer letter will go out. It's a part-time position.
Okay.
A resident of Acushnet, a young person who is going to be pursuing a career in library science.
Very good. Mr. Warner?
Oh,
Okay.
Mr. Kelly's done, but if he's not.
Oh,
There, I attached the department head memo, department head agenda to the back of the report, and there's a confidential memo I asked for you folks to keep confidential. It's board size only. And then there's the information about the library tech in your packet.
very good. Mr. Warner?
Yeah, Mr. Kelly, thank you for bringing up Lake Street. Gentlemen, you may not know, but Scott Daggett, who is one of our committee members on the Lake Street Committee, and was really the driver of this a couple of years ago with the weeds in the ponds. And I know Rep. Schmidt is going to come in later on, but this project is something that we were really moving quickly on, and then we got brought to a screeching halt because of some administrative issues we were working through last year. But I really would ask for the board's endorsement once again of making sure that this project remains a top priority of our DPW at this time of the year, because if we don't get moving on it, again, we'll miss the window, and then also we'll miss the window with the weed remediation. Scott, we've talked, and there's some frustration that this thing has not gotten off the ground, and so I asked you here tonight essentially because I knew we were going to raise the issue, but also to sort of publicly apologize that we haven't gotten moving on this. Town meeting voted to appropriate $75,000 to this project, and I hope it is and remains a priority of the board. So, I know, Scott, I don't know if there's anything you want to say to express your frustration at all, or just get your point. I know, again, you've been a driver of this.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Scott.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Back a few years back, when Selectman Cabral was among you, I had brought up the issue of the weed growth at Lake Street. For a period of many, many years, it just gradually gets worse and worse and worse. Eventually, the smaller pond, Tom Davis, which is the one that's at the base of the hill, that one will eventually the land will reclaim it.
That's correct.
Over a period of time. The one that's immediately across the street, the process is starting. There are some areas in which you can actually see muck above the water surface, and that's pretty much how that begins. And the way that process happens is Eurasian milfoil, which is the invasive weed species, dies off in the winter, falls to the bottom of the pond, and it just keeps massing and just, creating a column of pond bed, if you want to call it that. And eventually it just gets to a point where it overtakes the pond. So this was an issue that when Selectman Woolner had gotten back onto the board, he had found out that I had an interest in it. We had discussed certain things about trying to get the weeds under control. I brought to him the information with a company that specializes in pond remediation. We had been in contact with them. I believe we still have a contract with Solitude Lake Management. And it's something where Lake Street is one of the environmental jewels of the town. Every spring, every summer, every fall, you'll see families out there fishing, enjoying the area, and it was something that I had brought up to then Selectman Cabral, where I could see that money was starting to get implemented in safety enhancements there with guardrails, the new float with the gangway, and some of the other features with gravel sidewalks. And I had brought up the point that if the town was going to start spending money beautifying that area, that it didn't make any sense to beautify the area without managing the pond, because eventually people will not go fishing there anymore. If they can't throw their minnows or their shiners or their earthworms, and little Johnny can't catch a fish, he's going to get disappointed and not come back. So this is something that I'm glad that the town is starting to address. I knew that the city of New Bedford had ownership of it, and I didn't think that they would throw a monkey wrench into it, and I understand that was part of the slowdown. And I appreciate your apology. There was no need to apologize, because I realized town politics and city politics, it was going to create a little bit of a problem, because the city believes that they still have some kind of an interest in it, even though I don't think the pond would ever be used as a backup reservoir. But again, I'm glad that the town is looking into this and proceeding with managing the ponds.
Scott, what's your process or plan for the alleviation of the milfoil and the weeds? Is it the North Lake specifically? Is it the South Lake?
Well, we had received a contract from Solitude Lake Management for 3 of the major ponds to do the remediation chemically, which is the better alternative. Some people have asked, well, why can't we use mechanical means? If you go in there and you utilize mechanical, not excavators, but it's
yeah, the weed eaters.
weed eaters. I'm sure you've seen them. A harvester.
Floating harvester.
If you go in there, you will alleviate the weeds, but they will come back much quicker because you're breaking up the weeds themselves. They're going to spread out further throughout the pond, and you're just going to create, another 5 years down the road, you're going to be right back where you started.
Yep.
Solitude had given us an estimate for each of the individual 3 ponds. Tom Davis is at a point where the only way that we could really do anything with that would be dredging.
I saw your meeting, it was 80,000 and then 80 grand to get rid of the materials or something
Yes,
like that.
and that's if the town trucks away the materials themselves. If we leave it up to Solitude Lake Management, it comes out to, I want to say it was around $120,000. So with the size of that pond, we had estimated that if we could dredge it down to a depth of maybe 3 to 4 feet, that was pretty much an estimate that they had given us. And that's just a rough estimate. They really haven't gone out there to evaluate that particular pond, because their concentration was on the 3 major ponds at Lake Street.
So they would do all 3 ponds at once this year? You say
Yes.
we'd progress through and get the permission. That's the schedule on those. And you mentioned DPW's involvement for parking lot. I heard there was a boat ramp. You're calling it Kayak Cove.
Yes, those are some future plans that we have been discussing within the committee. Just trying to make the ponds more accessible to everyone. The parking areas themselves do need a little bit of work. There are some areas where the gravel base has been, if you want to call them potholes, if you will, where the gravel just ends up spread out in other areas, and you get these little deeper pits. And
The general plan right now is to keep it gravel?
I think at this point,
Yeah, I think, we've gone back and forth with the asphalt, and I think we come to the conclusion that that's probably the last thing we need to work on and worry about. We probably keep things as natural as possible.
Mhm.
But there's other, the guardrails we could be moving on,
Mhm.
Opening up the entrance, the exit and
Right,
entrance,
right.
Dave, when we did that site visit, stone walls, some walkways, getting out the old brush. And then, the larger plan would have a walking, to clear out along the pond, for some walking trails and things of that nature. It's all stuff that's really easily doable. We just got to work with the city of New Bedford. We thought we could get moving on that right away, but we found out that the city owns all of that, right? They own every piece there.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah,
I
so
just-
the,
Again, I wanted to put this back on the radar. I know we've
Mhm.
gone through so much transition in town hall with employees and town administrators that this project, I think, has fallen off the importance list, but this is the time of year that, I really want to see this thing get done.
Very good.
Jim?
This is Mr. Gaspar.
Are your name Scott?
yes, sir.
Apologize. Are you saying that we're gonna lose the East Pond?
Well, it's gonna take a period of time. I mean, Tom Davis just did not become the way that it is within the last few years.
Right.
I've fished all three of those ponds quite often. The smaller of the three, I used to fish a lot more often, and I noticed over the period of the last 5, maybe 6 years that the weed growth has been growing exponentially, where now instead of being able to fish more open bodies of water, you're fishing smaller pockets of open areas because the weed growth just, every year it just seems to double.
Isn't that the only one that we actually own? I'm pretty sure the town owns that pond, the small pond that you're talking about. Out of the 3 other ones are reservoirs for the city of New Bedford, and they do own those ponds in the land all around it. So I guess that's logistically settled.
That's what we're trying to.
We need to settle that up with the city and all that.
We've got an MOU currently with the city of New Bedford. They've gone through some transition in their solicitor's office. I've been in contact with David Jaratowski, who's the city council lawyer there, and he is working to move this up the chain to make sure it gets the attention that it deserves on the city side of things. And so,
Do we have permission thus far? I know there was some little hang-ups there, but I thought we already got permission to do the weed treatment at least, to get moving on that. So is that already something that we can get in there and do?
We've
With
approved the
Solitude?
contract, but we need the city of New Bedford's approval to do that. And it would require, notifying, there's some folks there who I think, I don't know if it's legal what they're doing, but they're drawing on the water for some irrigation.
Sure.
Right, there's
Yeah,
cranberry
Some
bogs there.
bogs and all that stuff, so
Absolutely
there'll be a
familiar.
period of time where we have to be under coordination. But I wanted to make sure that, again, Mr. Kelly had the benefit of this briefing and understood, the importance of this project.
Do you know, isn't there I think Mr. Lona said something, and it was probably a year ago, with the timing of how when they can treat the ponds? I guess there's a certain time frame.
Yes. Yes.
So what are those, what's that time frame? Is it spring, is it fall, is it summer?
Last year, they were shooting for an August date. So pretty much in August would be the time in which the weeds are really full bloom, and that would be the best time to hit them. It wouldn't make sense to hit them a little bit later in the season or a little too early in the season, because the chemicals that they use wouldn't really be as effective as when the weeds are at full bloom.
What happens to the plant when you apply whatever the
Well,
herbicide is or whatever it is that we're applying? Obviously, it's safe for fish and wildlife, right? It's not
Yeah.
gonna kill off that.
So
What happens to the plant? Because you're talking about plants dying and then just compounding and the beds just get bigger, and that's what we see in what I call the East Pond. You say Tom Davis, I
Yes.
believe you alluded to. What happens to the plant then when we do the treatment? Does the chemical that you're using, does it deteriorate the plant where it doesn't just die off and sit on the bottom? Or is it the opposite?
I believe from what I've learned from Solitude and what they've told me is that the weeds will fall to the bottom. It's not a chemical treatment where it actually dissolves the plant. So at some point, down the road, there may be a necessary action where we have to dredge. Hopefully, if we can get the weeds and treat the weeds early enough, it would be less dredging. As the weeds grow, then there would be more compost at the bottom of the pond.
Is this an application that needs to be continuous every 5 years, every 10 years, or whatever it may be?
They have recommended a plan where it would be treatment every 3 to 5 years. And I believe that's something that we have discussed where maybe that's something that the DPW could learn how to do on their own, where we won't need an outside source to do it, source it in-house. And, you know, the town will be able to save money by doing that.
Yeah. Mr. Kelly?
I've got a question and then a comment concerning the DPW issue. The question is, I know that that weed is an invasive species and that you have to control, once you've treated and you've gotten ahead of the problem, you have to control access as far as boats, etc., to the water, or you'll reinfect, if you, pardon my layman's term, you'll reinfect the water that you've treated.
Yes, that's exactly correct. So if you've gone through, if you've gone to various different areas throughout the state to go fishing or boating, you will see signs that state something to the effect of, you know, please clean the bottom of your trailers or boats. Please be aware that you can transmit weeds from one pond to another by doing so. So I think that's one thing that we on the committee were contemplating, putting up signs at the boat ramps to alert people that they need to be a little bit more
Right.
aware of,
We
you know,
even
weeds.
talked about a wash station if possible. You know.
Yeah, that was another option that we were thinking.
Right.
As far as the DPW, any chemical that we would be applying, any chemical application effort by the DPW, you're going to need various licenses, and the DPW is going to have to go through training, etc., and our insurance is going to go up exponentially. So it's something that should be done by a contractor, not by the DPW.
Yeah, and that, you know, the second application, let's just get the first application done. You know, we can start talking about the second and third ones, you know, but I know Rep. Schmidt is gonna come in. I think he's had a lot of experience with Watuppa Pond
Yep.
in Westport, so it'd be great to get his thoughts on that. He might know where some money, pots of money are from the state. So thank you, Scott, for coming in, and
Yes, thank you for the information.
All right, thank you very much. I hope it wasn't too long-winded.
no,
No.
it's good to know. You've had a year of pent-up stuff to share with us, so thank you.
Well, thank you again.
Thanks, Scott. Have a good evening.
All right, thank you very much.
Gentlemen, number 5 on the agenda this evening, budget discussion and articles.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
to continue with the fact that it's April and you are going to have everyone stand and sing the national anthem, I want to continue with the baseball metaphor and say, in effect, I was hired at the end of the season and then was told I was pitching 3 games in the World Series. Well, I was also told that most of the team were rookies and that we had a short period of time to create a budget and a warrant. I'd like to say that the team, especially finance, performed great. The Board of Selectmen staff performed great. And at the end of the process, after having to cut an additional $150,000, the superintendent and the school committee came through with a game-saving double play and helped us to make sure we had a balanced budget. So after 71 days on the job, you have a balanced budget and you have a warrant.
Very good.
This would not have been possible without a great coach. He stopped me from going down the wrong rabbit holes. He advised me with the local history and some of the idiosyncratic issues with the budget. And he became my second set of eyes. So I'd like to commend and thank Selectman Gaspar for being the great coach that he was through this whole process. And personally, thank you, Kevin, because it became an enjoyable process.
Yeah,
And
appreciate it.
I really have worked with a number of people on a number of budgets. I had to do COVID budgets 3 times, but having to do from soup to nuts in 71 days was an interesting experience. And I don't think we would have been successful if it hadn't been for your fellow selectmen.
Well, kudos, Mr. Gaspar.
Thank you, that's very kind of you.
Well, as they say in the Sandlot, right? Heroes are born, legends are made.
I just, while he's on it, I mean, it was truly a team effort. I mean, Mr. Kelly threw a lot of different papers at us, right? And I sat and digested every different way, shape, or form, and we did make some corrections, overseeing that paperwork, but I never thought I'd seen so many recap sheets for 1 year, but I always back-checked and double-checked all the work that was being done, and I'm glad that I did, and I was happy with the Mr. Kelly's performance and handling everything. He was always open ears and listening to everything that we had to say, and it was a team effort, as Mr. Kelly said, and it was a pleasure, quite honestly, working with somebody with the magnitude of experience that Mr. Kelly has, and as he said, 71 days. Quite honestly, gentlemen, I didn't know that this task would be completed for town meeting, and that proves that Mr. Kelly really has that level of experience to get the job done. And I think that's what kept me going, is it wasn't falling on deaf ears every time we met up. It was just get it done, make the correction, and move forward. So, I thank Mr. Kelly for his professionalism and his expertise at this process. And he mentioned the school department. I'd like to thank the school department, because I know they came in at the last inning and gave back some money to make this budget a balanced budget. So I commend the school committee, school business administration for those efforts, and I'm hoping that everything, the hard work that we've all pulled together, working together. I know it was tough last minute, Mr. Kelly's short period of time being here. I'm hoping that when Mr. Kelly meets with the FinCom, we have a balanced budget now to present to town meeting. That's the way it should be. And none of the games are played where we go to town meeting aggravated at each other and we're trying to pull money from different accounts, because that's not in the best interest of anyone in this community. So that's what I tried to pitch to Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly passed that on. Ms. Gomes, you were in our last meeting and you got to hear a lot of that conversation. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for your efforts in bringing things back to committee. Ms. Paula Bailey, the same with you as well. And just please make sure that the committee knows that my gratitude for them to help out Mr. Kelly in getting us a balanced budget, so that we can go in as a team to town meeting and there's not going to be that bickering back and forth. So thank you very much.
Well, Paula and Mrs. Gomes, I noticed you're present here tonight. Would you like to have the floor for a few minutes to discuss
No,
anything about this process? I know we talked last week.
No, we are good. We are happy with what we have, and Mr. Kelly was fantastic to work with. And we have some expectations for the fall when we have our fall meeting, so I don't want to leave that off the table. But yeah, it was a good process. We are happy that we're able to work with the town, and hopefully we'll continue with that in our fall meeting as well as next year and beyond. So thank you very much.
And we appreciate the support and collaboration moving forward. Thank you.
It's going to get harder, just so you know. Not with us, but the budget process, right? So that's something we got to get our arms around. And
You're always keeping it real.
So,
We're
gentlemen,
keeping it real.
okay, very good. You good?
Yep, you have a balanced budget in front of you.
Mhm.
You have also a sheet that just describes the expense and salary lines that shows that you've got a balanced budget. You've got a recap sheet that shows that you've got a balanced budget.
Mhm.
And if you want to discuss any of the, I know you've been forwarded a budget I'll be glad to discuss any particular line. I think we've beaten that horse quite substantially.
Mm-hmm.
The only question that I would have is, I called Mr. Kelly, I believe it was yesterday, the day before, with one correction to that spreadsheet
It's in
where the
there.
planning board was,
It's in
and then
there.
we moved it to conservation.
Yep,
So as long as that change has been made,
that change is made, and I verified the concern that I voiced to you on the assessor's office, and I verified it's a 3-year contract, so we're good.
excellent. Mr. Chairman, if the board doesn't have anything, I'd make a motion to approve the budget as presented by Mr. Kelly.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Chairman, we have a budget now. I would ask that we review the warrant. There are a couple items.
Well, Mr. Kelly, may I just interject here for a second before we move on to the warrant and the discussion concerning it? I see we have, just like to go out of order for a second, because I think we can wrap this up relatively well. I see we have Heather Chu here from the Council on Aging,
Still doesn't get old.
and Becky Tomlinson from Animal Control. Ladies.
I got bumped by the 4-legged battalion, huh?
There you go, there you go. Ladies, if you'd like to get up, and I believe you're here to tell us about the pet food drive that's happening in town here.
Hi, gentlemen, thank you for having us.
Let me just get to that portion of the agenda. Let me move it around. Very good. Hi, Becky.
Hi, how are you?
Doing
Becky
good.
Tomlinson, Acacia Animal Control.
Mhm.
Heather and I have been discussing back and forth that we would like to stuff the van with pet food drive. We haven't done it in a couple of years, and then with COVID, everything really slacked off. And we're just hoping to bring some attention to the residents that maybe they could help us by giving us some food that is within, the dates are good on it, it would be for our residents and also for the shelters that help us out. And also for the feral cats that we do TNR, which is a trap neuter release program. And if there are any animals that can't be rehomed, we rehome them to farms, and I do have some feral colonies that I do have some residents that help us feed them. So this would be a great help, and we were looking to do this on Monday, May 9th from 5 to 7 at the school grounds at the middle school. And a big thank you to Dr. Bailey for allowing us to do that. We're hoping it'll be a nice open area, there won't be any traffic jams, and we're going to use the Council on Aging van to put the food in there.
Mhm. And this is before the town meeting then?
Yeah, from
Right.
5 to 9, we were going to, from 5 to 7 on the 9th, we were going to do that.
Okay, so
In the
you'll be
back parking lot.
In the back parking lot?
Yes, this is the first. I would like to do another one at some other point in time, just to reintroduce this, to let people know that this will be helping out our shelters, and it's really a good thing to do. So on that day, we would be accepting sealed, in-date bags of dry, as well as canned food for dogs, cats, guinea pigs, rabbits. No monetary donations would be accepted at that time. If anybody had any questions about that, they could contact Heather at the COA, or they could contact me as the animal control officer, and we could discuss that. So,
Excellent. Mr. Gaspar?
Hi, Ms. Tomlinson.
hi, Mr. Gaspar.
So I'm looking at the date, and you just said the date, but it's ringing a bell. Isn't that town meeting? I mean,
That's what
yeah.
we're hoping, is that people on their way into town meeting will bring something
That's
with
right.
them.
Right, so we would be outside from
Oh,
5.
is that the game we're playing? Huh?
Yeah, like you, we're keeping it real.
Just checking. Pretty clever.
Well, it would be nice if you guys all donated something. That would be great.
Bring your dog.
Yes,
my
bring your
dog,
dog.
oh
Yes,
boy.
bring your dog.
Here goes the neighborhood.
Your well-behaved dog. Bring your dog. So that's what we're just hoping, just to make awareness again. To bring attention.
Excellent.
I will have my truck there, just helping out the community, and again helping out our shelters that help us out, because without certain shelters, especially with TNR, it is very time consuming, and I have got some great trappers there. And again, we turn the cats back out that aren't adopted, but at least they are spayed and neutered, can't reproduce, they get vaccines, and it's a good thing.
Very good.
Doesn't matter what brand, like cat and dog food.
Whatever
just-
you would
Yeah.
like.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for the
It's
information.
awesome.
Thank you, we appreciate it, and like I said, we're gonna see how well this goes, and then maybe shoot for another one, you know, in the fall, or maybe in the summertime as the weather gets warmer, and perhaps do it at the COA as a type of drive-through. They could just drive in the back, drop the food off, and then they can leave. The town would really appreciate it, there are a lot of people that are in need, and the shelters can certainly use it.
Excellent. Well, I'll see you there.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
great,
Absolutely.
all right,
Have a good evening. Mr. Warner?
No, see you there, Becky.
okay, thank you very much.
Excellent.
you.
Take care.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Alba.
night, thank you.
Do we need a vote from the board approving?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
great night. Okay, thank you so much.
Wait.
Maybe we'll do it next week.
Which one?
You got a certificate in here for Emma.
She put that in as a, it was went along with Pet Food Drive.
It's for behavioral things.
Shouldn't say.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it came with Ricky's.
It's fine. We can handle it.
Yep. All right. Mr. Kelly, we're about to discuss the warrant approval and
Yes.
signing. So, thank you very much for letting me make that out of order motion there, and we're all set.
All right. In the warrant, the first article is a typical article accepting reports. Article 2, the amount will be changed, subject to the DPW's new figure. And Article 3, if there's a past year bill that needs to be done, it's a placeholder, there's no amount there.
Mr. Kelly, just for a quick question.
Yep.
It says Article 2, the amount will be changed, but that'll be changed to that $86,000?
Correct.
You mentioned, okay, very good.
It depends on whether we get more snow.
Well,
or
if we
not.
don't get any more snow, understanding. That's what I think.
At 1 year, I
There's a
had-
blizzard going through the Midwest right now.
Yeah, and 1 year I had snow on May 17th, which
Just
we had to
saying.
call out the sanders and the ices, which meant we had to put the sanders back in.
I think we just took ours out.
Article 4 is the cable access. That'll be the first article in the consent agenda. Carrying on with the consent agenda is the authorization for state federal grants. These are all the articles that are in every year. Article 6 is Chapter 90. Article 7 is borrow money from time to time. Article 8 is to authorize members of the cemetery board to work in the cemeteries. Article 9 is recreation to perform work in the parks. Article 10 is for authorization to sell for the sum of $1 discarded books. Article 11 is the typical caps that are on the revolving funds. The only thing that is different from previous years of this is last year you added a recycling revolving fund. And so that is now included here. The cap that is there is the one that was authorized last year.
Yeah. I thought there was some discussion about raising that because of what we're doing at recycling now.
If that happens, I'll come back to the board. As I said, now that snow and ice is done, I can finally sit down with Mr. Menard and Kathy and go over a number of DPW issues. And we're doing that Friday morning.
Okay, very good.
The next section is the reserve accounts or stabilization accounts. This is where we're spending a good majority of our free cash. 200,000 for a new stabilization account to spread out the health insurance spikes. It's being done in a number of towns, if not a majority of towns, because of the spikes over the last couple years. The next is one to establish a stabilization account for, in effect, compensated absences, because you end up going into arrears in the past for this, and this will help take care of future compensated absences, and it spreads it out so you don't have to, when you hit the amount in the miscellaneous line item, then you have to go to the salary amounts in the various departments. This will be able, eventually it'll help you control it. The next one is for a new stabilization fund for stormwater management and cost for complying with MS4. The amount in the new health insurance, the buyback, and the MS4 is $300,000. I saw you doing that.
I'm tallying it up as we go.
I saw
too.
it.
That's how I do it.
All right, the next is the general stabilization fund. And I'm asking to put 160,000 in it. The reason that I'm asking for that amount is your unrestricted stabilization account should be between 4% and 10%. So it doesn't negatively affect your bond rating. If you have too much in this account and combined with your overlay surplus account, it will affect your bond rating.
All right. In a negative way.
Yep.
Okay.
The amount listed there, I'm going to have to change because I took a little bit away that I was originally going to put in to keep it at the 10% mark. I will have the proper amount for the total in the stabilization account.
Does you have it here at 10.05%?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It's the 3,358,183.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that dollars and cents is a little bit shorter. In the capital expense stabilization, I'm recommending 250,000. You're going to go through this in the next couple years when you end up doing South Main Street and you do some of the other roads where you have to do sewer and water replacements with the cost of pipe and laying of the pipe nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very smart to increase. And then for OPEB, I'm recommending 400,000. And the reason I'm recommending that is your OPEB liability as of the last audit was 21,653,297.
And we got about 500 grand in it, right?
Well, now you'll end up with 932,648. That's a getting close to 10%. Eventually, get to the 10% mark, and the bond rating companies will be fine with it. I don't think you should not keep adding to it, because the liability's there. It's not like the pension liability where eventually the Bristol County is supposed to be self-funding.
Mm-hmm.
This you're going to have to watch, and because of the changes to GASB, which is the way government accounting is done, you're going to not affect your bond rating. You're going to have to make sure that you keep this OPEB trust fund growing and keep it above 10%.
Because I know in the past 3 years, we've either put 50 or 100,000 into it.
Yeah,
Which has made
you're not even
Right.
close. You've got to get to that 10% mark so you don't affect your bond rating.
Okay.
It's close enough now that,
And you wanna get that number up to a degree where your compound interest
Mm-hmm.
will equate to that, what we were putting, that small amount, the 50 grand. If you can get your compound interest growing,
Right.
you know, to a reasonable level. I mean, I can't even believe, I don't have the conversation with Mr. Kelly on now, the actuary's gone up to 21, but we had some numbers
Yeah.
thrown out several years back of 12 million, then it was 15 million, and now I'm at 21, and
Mhm.
like
That's
5 or 6
your
years have
last-
passed, and I've gone up 5 or 6 million bucks. At this rate,
that's your last audit, but you
Crazy.
you have to remember that with what is going on in health insurance and the fact that you have two types of retirees hitting your health insurance system. One is the cheaper one, the people over 65 that are on Medicare, that you only are doing a share of the wraparound, which is a lot cheaper. Then you have the people that are under 65 that retired, that you're paying the
Full.
town share still for the health insurance.
Right. And that can be $1,500 a month policy, for the policy, yeah.
So that takes care of your stabilization accounts. Your stabilization contribution is $1,110,000.
Mhm.
Then you have your operating budget, your enterprise budgets, and then you have your capital budget. In the capital budget, there is a $280,000 for a 10-wheel sander plow truck for DPW, a $50,000 slide-in sander, 86,400 for less lethal conducted electric weapons, tasers.
hold on a second there, champion, we're trying to,
I'm just signing.
we're getting,
for,
because you jumped into the regular budget stuff. So you're on where it says department 10-wheeler.
Mhm.
Yep. In black are the free cash articles and the ambulance receipt fund article that have been discussed. And it includes 15,000 school roof preventive maintenance repair and 45,000 for the school parking lots.
No way.
16,000 for the failing furnace and associated heat ducts and emergency management, and 320,000 for the ambulance receipt fund, from the ambulance receipt fund, for breathing apparatuses. In red are various items requesting those be funded from CPC funds. I do not know if those will be moved forward. The reason for that is the CPC has yet to meet. The
What do you anticipate they would have to meet by?
town meeting.
Okay.
That includes fencing, repair, and replacement for Long Plain Museum, replace, install windows, Long Plain Museum, finish interior Perry Hill Church, and some park upgrades to Pope Park. I am not recommending that any of those be funded out of free cash, because we've spent free cash. There is an article from the assessors for a sum of $8,000 to purchase near map software to bring together the geospatial and construction database sets in a common operating environment for $8,000. I'm recommending that that be funded out of free cash. There was a placeholder for a golf article to be transferred from CPC funds. That has, similar to the other CPC issues, it's to deal with their parking lot and walkways. If CPC doesn't vote the article, doesn't meet and vote, the article cannot be moved. Article 24 is which we've talked about, the senior work-off article for $20,000. That from free cash. The total for free cash is $1,639,900.
What's the other amount from free cash, because I'm not there yet. What do we got going on here?
Where?
Over here. Where's the
Which
other?
article?
We came up to 1,609,900 and we stopped at the furnace for the EMA,
Yep.
right? And then we just added $8,000. Where's the remainder of that money that you just talked?
And 20 for the senior work-off.
Oh, you're putting 20. I got it.
And there's a very short amount, about 1,000 and change left in free cash. $1,266.
And what's the deal? Lisa, do you know anything about what's going on with CPC? We talked about
No,
this
me and
months
Ja-
ago.
Yeah, me and Jamie we talked about it the other day. Having to call into Mark Cinerizio and try to, like, I'm not on that committee anymore, and they don't have a technical secretary, so we're gonna try to see what we can do. That Mark, will get his committee together and
We've been
They
discussing,
can do as
I think
a-
we got something from historical several months back, and we were talking about.
And
doing
we've
this.
requested, we've requested that they meet and we would provide them with these articles, and we've requested half a dozen times for them to schedule a meeting.
Right.
While we're on the subject of CPC, and I'm not familiar with, Mass General Law that allowed us to create the composition of the committee, but I would just ask Jamie, this is one of those issues that if there's a way to revisit how the committee is constituted, where you have, I don't know if you can do it with a combination of staff, in-house, or whatever, like, there's gotta be a way to do this to make it more efficient, right? I mean, because if you don't have the bodies, it's gotta be an
It's-
alternative.
You did it, I believe, by acceptance, by voter acceptance.
2004.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it would have to be the way the vote is.
Yeah, now's not the time, just,
Usually you can't have non-residents
Right.
on your.
Yeah, no, of course not, but I mean, I get it, I think there's some things that this board would like to see, I think that's what Mr.
Right,
Bowen's
it is.
going.
Yeah.
Can we streamline it, what can we do to make
We
it
got some
more
projects
efficient?
here that we already endorsed a couple of these things,
Yeah.
right? And now that's potentially at risk because CPC's not meeting, which
Right,
is,
and unfortunately, I wanna help them as much as I can, but I just,
Yeah.
my
No,
time
it's not
is.
you, it's not a you issue.
Yeah.
no, it's not,
but-
no,
Once we get
absolutely
this
But I
not.
budget
did-
behind us, and I presume, we have to revisit, we have to talk to Mr. Kelly about his contract, what we're gonna do as a board. But I think we're just finally getting our head above water to be able to examine, little things like this, CPC, send out a survey. Do you wanna serve, do you not wanna serve? If you don't wanna serve, if you
Yeah,
can't,
I mean,
let's-
and they're very receptive to it. It's
Right.
just the
Great
fact
group.
that there's not a person to really,
Yep.
like we used to have
Yeah.
Karen Knox. Karen Knox was great. She used to get everybody together.
Yep.
She took, the time to do the agenda, took all that time. I asked Mark, and he's willing to see, we
he's
do
had some
have
challenges.
administrative,
Right.
we do have administrative, fees there. So I was thinking, if we just hired, Kara Koska to work on the ZBA stuff, we could pay her to do some of the CPC stuff.
They don't meet that often,
They
so it's.
meet
Yeah,
like twice a
they meet-
year.
We don't need
Yeah.
to, we don't need to solve it tonight, but I
No,
guess the
but-
point is that we've got a lot of small little things in
Right.
town that we need to pay
Button up.
attention to,
This-
button up, and then,
This is not the only committee
right.
that you've got problems like
Yep,
this with.
yep.
Well, we got those appointments coming up. It's something that I've talked about before. Absenteeism is one of those criteria. In fact, our town charter calls out the finance committee can actually remove somebody from the committee for absenteeism. That's where I got it from, being a FinCom member. And we talked about it in previous years when I was on the board with different folks, that would be a criteria that we look at before we just do reappointments, is attendance, right? If you're not there, you're not making the meetings, you can't have that much of an interest in serving. Let's give that opportunity to somebody else. So let's figure it out, and get different people on if that's what we so choose, or, we change the composition from, 7 members to 5 members or whatever, make it easier.
Mr. Kelly, do you have a general, I'm sorry.
Do we need to, because we, the board, are the ones that approve the warrant, and
We still have other articles.
Right. Because I had a question about the senior work-off program, about the amount that, getting back to Article 24, about the amount per hour that's being offered.
That's
Was that
typical.
determined, that's typical?
Yes,
Okay,
in other communities.
all right,
I talked to about half a dozen.
okay, because $8 an hour is like, but I
It's-
understand,
It-
it's not just about the
not-
money.
It doesn't go in
Correct.
pocket.
Correct.
correct, it's an offset
Right,
for
it's an
real estate
offset.
taxes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's
So,
fine, but as
yeah.
far as the other articles, I mean, what do we got?
Oh, and just getting back to CPC, about how much, you get a generalization about what that pulls in a year? I know it's is it
I
1.5% of the tax levy? I know it's,
Yeah, but
Yes. CPC is based on 1.5%.
1.5%, but, what
And there's
that
only
number,
certain categories that you can spend it in.
that's
Yeah.
correct, there's 4 categories, right. But about what that number is every year that we're pulling in on that?
Yeah,
I don't know what the
I
balance
understand.
is.
100?
I think it's 100 and something, yeah.
Okay.
It's 1.5% of total values or something like that. Well, I have the formula somewhere.
Yep,
But neither here nor there.
yep, all right,
Question?
yep.
Yeah.
All right, the next is to accept the provisions of the general law. It's called the Mullen provision,
Mm-hmm.
that if a member misses one meeting in an adjudicatory board, as long as he does his homework and there's multiple meetings on this one issue, then he can vote on the issue.
So you're talking if, whatever board, could be our board, correct?
Let's say the planning board
Mm-hmm.
has 5 meetings on one special permit,
Mm-hmm.
and an individual misses one meeting, but does his homework, watches
The video.
the video,
Meeting. Uh-huh.
reads all the material that came in, and states that, then he would be able to participate in the deliberations and vote.
And right now, they can't do that.
Right now, they can't.
And I know that situation arose.
But more, under the Mullins rule, isn't it more than 2, you're automatically disqualified?
Yep.
That's correct.
Yeah, you can't come in for 1 out of 4.
Right.
Right.
Although, I think that happens.
Okay, I have no problem adopting that. I think that's,
The legislature
this-
passed it because of the
Last year.
fact that, especially with the real intriguing special permit, you could end up going months on deliberations, and someone might miss one meeting.
okay. Very good.
And then you got the zoning. The first zoning article presented by the planning board and planner is the solar array installation, 180-day moratorium for them to get their rules and regs in order.
Now, the question I have, all these, any amendments, bylaws, things that, warrants that we adopt or vote on, that needs a period of time to be approved by the Attorney General's office? So in this particular case?
Zoning is different.
Okay.
If you're mowing,
Uh-huh,
would go to the Attorney General.
okay. But zoning,
And remember, zoning is a supermajority vote.
so 60%, 66?
Yeah.
Two-thirds vote, two-thirds vote.
But zoning goes to the Attorney General as well.
Yeah, but the effective date is on the passage, unless the Attorney General says it's illegal. Whereas the effective date on the other articles are when the Attorney General approves.
Very good.
Okay.
The next one is that Bradford Street 2 lot. The map I couldn't get to reproduce, so I've got Doug working on it for me. Whatever,
Yeah, we seen that already, huh?
yeah,
Right.
but whatever they use over there doesn't talk to Office.
Now, both of these articles have to go to a public hearing prior, and I've been told.
They're
by-
in the process of,
Correct.
I've been told.
I've been told by the planning board that April 14th be put in the paper and April 21st be put in the paper.
Yeah,
They have to post it twice, and on the 28th, there'll be a public hearing concerning these 2 articles at the planning board meeting.
Posted 2 consecutive weeks.
yeah. Lisa, did they get the stormwater article from the,
Brought it down.
Mr. DeRoche, you make a good point. So on the zoning bylaw, I think that, well, I don't think I know, that initiated through us.
Correct.
Do we want to go on record with just a brief letter endorsing the bylaws of the plan, so as part of the public process?
I would suggest that draft that separate from the warrant.
Yes, yeah. So it'd be just a separate letter that we would enter into the record on the 28th as part of the public hearing process. The Board of Selectmen endorses this article. I mean, we're the ones who brought it up, so I think we should go on record in support of that.
Yep.
So, that's kind of hard to make a decision on when you
Yeah, I know.
pack it that big for the stormwater one.
Ladies, good evening. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Yes. We absolutely agree.
That's a lot for me to, I can't make a decision today, I'm just getting this thing, again, it's one of those things, you throw something at you at the last minute.
I would suggest that you could vote on the warrant and say that
Always table it
at
town
your,
meeting.
at your next meeting,
Right.
you will make your recommendation as to that article. And we'll include the recommendation in the warrant. Oh, and it doesn't have to be moved forward without a recommendation of the board.
Because this still, does this also have to go to public meeting?
No,
Public hearing?
no, Pam, well, town clerk, sorry, said that, according to her, it is not something that needs a public hearing.
But it still has to go before the bylaw review committee.
Yes.
Okay.
It still has to go before us, and it just got here, so.
Yeah, no,
I would suggest that, because it is so involved, that we have the stormwater agent at the next meeting to explain it.
Is this, do you know offhand if this is boilerplate stuff?
I don't know. That rewrite is beyond my expertise.
Mhm. All right, well, I mean,
Guess we have some homework, but
We can always table it at town meeting if we feel, you know, we can always do that.
Yep.
The, I'm suggesting that you sign the warrant at the next meeting.
So, Mr. Kelly, do we have, I talked to you about the bylaws.
15 days.
20 for special town meeting though?
of-
And this is special town meeting, the warrant, right?
No, the warrant's a town meeting warrant.
Yeah, but why do we go in, so we used to.
Special town meeting would be a meeting with inside your town meeting when you all of a sudden find out you have, in a normal year when you're not going like this, there's no special town meeting this year. You find out that you have a whole bunch of past year bills. You take care of that in your special town meeting.
Oh, because on the normal protocol, we usually open up annual town meeting,
And
go
then,
into special, and that's when we do this warrant stuff. I don't know what's different.
under town meeting times, the town warrant is the normal town meeting.
It's just, we haven't done it that way, is what I'm saying. We open up the annual, we,
Yeah, it was for housekeeping, right? And technically, like, the fall town meeting is considered a special town meeting, right?
Fall town meeting is considered a special town meeting, and in most communities, you'll see nowadays that it's a lot of your multi-hearing zoning changes will go there. Adoption of the master plan will go there.
yeah.
Adoption of amendments to the master plan would go there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's just weird, because I know that's how we go into it, we open the annual, we go into special, we do the warrant, all the article stuff, and then we go back to the annual for the budget. But if you say it can be done all as one as an annual, that's fine.
that's something you're gonna discuss.
I learn
with Mr.
something new every
Dakin?
day.
Yep,
Okay.
I'll have
What's
them,
that?
He says that's something he's gonna discuss with Mr. Dakin.
It's something, learn something new every day.
I'll have him call Mike Miller, who used to be the publisher of Town Meeting Times, and was the moderator in Sturbridge, and then, what's the town with the swap meet, the big swap meet?
Oh,
Brimfield.
There you go. So,
So this in red says, waiting, hearing information and explanation.
Yeah, that's from, on the stormwater thing, because
Yep.
I need explanation from the stormwater agent, because it is way beyond my expertise.
Yep.
And I'm not writing the reason for town meeting. He can write the reason for.
We have a stormwater management bylaw.
Yeah,
This is a reverberation of it, I guess.
he can explain the
Yeah,
changes.
we'll see with that.
Yeah.
We'll go through that. All right, well,
We can have the warrant signed next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rep Schmidt's outside.
Yep, I see people.
We got,
We got 3 of them coming now.
what are we gonna do? We just gonna approve the warrant?
Approve it, and then we'll,
As presented?
as presented, and you'll
CPC.
sign it next week. If there are changes with CPC, I'll bring it to your attention.
Right.
Okay.
If we can schedule a meeting.
Yep.
And I hope that we can. We got
I'll
some,
work on
couple of
that.
things on there for historical, we got something for park.
Right, I'd like to
I'd
get
like to see
Right.
get done.
Mhm.
Chad's really out there leading the charge, trying to get
And-
some things done at the
and,
park.
And at the, once we get all this done and we look at those past articles, we can coalesce some of them
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and
absolutely.
take care of some of the other park projects.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of money floating around, so we're gonna unfloat it. Right? So,
So,
guess, Mr. Chairman, you need a motion
Yep.
to approve the warrant as presented.
right. That's what I need.
All,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
All right, so we'll do one with the town seal, all the attachments as far as the glossary, the index, et cetera, and have it available for you gentlemen at the next meeting.
Very good.
And I've got to present it to FinCom tomorrow night.
Yep, you're gonna go through the budget with them, let them know that we're balanced, good news. And no changes to be made, hopefully. FinCom will follow that recommendation.
I've talked to the chair, and our philosophies are the same.
Okay, good. And then the warrant you're gonna do with FinCom as well? So that should be all behind us and get ready for print, depending on, hopefully everything goes.
Print on the 22nd?
We want to post on the 22nd, so we'll try to try to print on the 21st
So we're looking at a potential meeting on the 20th,
yes.
if that's all right with you, Joe.
Who was, guys? This board?
What was,
Yes, in
20th?
I'm sorry.
That's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday, Monday's a
Or
holiday.
Tuesday or Wednesday. That'll give us enough time to get it to the printer and post it.
What do we need to do
Day
on
works
that?
for you, Dave.
Just to make sure that the,
Tuesday or Wednesday's fine. Morning?
what is this meeting gonna entail though?
You have to sign the warrant, the official warrant.
Right.
Okay.
Vote to sign it and sign it.
So you're gonna know in a week, what you're saying is you're gonna know in a week whether CPC's gonna meet or not?
Yeah, I'll work on that when I
Yep.
get home tonight.
And-
I want
and-
It could be, you look
Yeah,
at what's
and
there,
we can-
short meeting,
We
15
can,
minutes.
we can include it in the warrant with the wording pending CPC approval.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get them to
I
meet
think
by Zoom.
I can probably, that's what I was gonna try to do.
Right.
I mean, I know Mark has a lot on his plate right now, so.
Sure.
I'll work on it, cause I don't want to see them lose it, and I try to help them, but I just wanted to bring up too about the bonds, with Jasmine. We might need to meet, it'll be May, but remember how we were talking this morning about the,
The bond
bond?
house, Hill,
Sorry, I had kept to keep my
Uh,
glasses speak.
we've got to reissue the bands. And the bands are the short-term notes. And as such, they're gonna need the board to sign in the beginning of May. And you don't normally have a meeting prior to town meeting unless you need to. And it's by the 11th
11th
of
of-
May
Yes.
that you need to sign. But you could have, it's permitted to have a meeting prior to town meeting
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
for a limited issue like that, if you want, since the three of you would be there at town meeting.
We got a lot of time between, well, doesn't,
No,
I know
well,
we don't.
they won't prepare the bonds until then.
Yeah, no, I don't know, we're talking about next week, just to
Right.
do this. I mean, we don't need to do a night meeting. The board, if we come to a conclusion right now while we're in session on when we can meet, I mean, if you're only looking for a short one to do the warrant,
It's up to you.
we can do
people.
that during the day. We don't need to be here for any.
You also have a May 1st deadline with me.
That's right, we have to discuss the town
Well,
administrators.
we can do 2 orders of business, right?
Yeah,
I don't have a problem.
We have
But we can do
executive
that,
session
we
for
can do
that.
that during the day.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, the chairman can discuss it with you, and then so we can do something next week during the day instead of doing a night meeting.
Absolutely.
Get something done, it's probably an hour long if we're lucky.
If
What,
it's
Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, because then we can get the word back to the
Monday's a
bond.
holiday.
and how do you do
I
it?
just want my paperwork prepared. I mean, I don't wanna, so,
Wednesday?
Wednesday's fine.
You open, Dave?
Yeah,
Hold on.
Wednesday, yeah.
Are you good for Wednesday?
Wednesday the 20th,
I can
absolutely.
do anything you want. What time you want to do, 10:30?
That sounds good.
Is 10:30 good?
10:30 is perfect.
Looks good for me. That's
Okay.
same time, so that's cool.
Alright.
Okay.
Wednesday,
So Wednesday, 4:20.
Are we gonna go into an executive session at any point
right,
that
you're gonna have
day,
to,
or?
right, we're gonna post,
Yeah, I
to
think
discuss the
Mr.
town
DeRoche-
administrator position.
Yep, okay.
Is gonna want executive session,
So
correct?
exactly,
For the board to discuss the
absolutely.
Both.
firing of the TA. I mean, possible hiring of the TA. Meeting.
Shooting of the TA.
Alright,
So
good.
it's at 10:30.
So we'll let Jeff
Mhm.
know that.
So that means Lisa, unfortunately, Monday's a holiday.
Yes, so
So
I'm
then
gonna
you
post.
have to post Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
This
Oh, yeah.
Friday.
Well, no, I'm posting because we have a half a day on Friday. I will post on Thursday
Yeah, absolutely.
because
Yeah,
I
but the half-day counts, but post
Yeah,
on
but-
Thursday.
sometimes does.
Figure it out.
We're never,
Especially at 10:30,
we're never sure if anybody's gonna be in.
Mm-hmm.
because I won't be here tomorrow, so,
That's correct. So post it Thursday.
yeah, I'd rather post it Thursday. And we'll get that
We still
done.
have other stuff here too, right?
Yes, we need to move on
Alright, so
to
that's
the
all
agenda. Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Okay.
Right. Gentlemen, next on the agenda, the new business, vacation carryover discussion. I believe I was given this morning. We have a number of union and non-union personnel who are requesting, as you can see on the list there, those number of days. And basically, they're all 5 days, except for Tanya in the building department, who is requesting a 3-day turnover. Any comments concerning this matter?
The only thing I'll say, and I guess I'm repeating myself from the prior year, is, is we seem to keep doing carryover vacation day, and some of these folks that are here, I don't get. Some of them I do get the reasons why we would need to have carryover, but I don't understand why there's always a request for carryover for vacation time for some of these folks. So I don't know if, if we don't have any rationale behind why there's a need for carryover. So.
It's tough, I'll just say something. It's a little tough sometimes to take days off when there's things going on and different stuff like that.
I understand certain
Yeah.
individuals, I look at the list, I get certain individuals' rationale on why they need to, and I appreciate the reasons why they're asking for carryover. There's just some other individuals that are asking for carryover, I look at it and go, what's the need? Why, 5 days and you can't do anything in the next 60 days to eat up 5 days? It's not even a day every week. Right, so it's just that concern where I don't want everybody getting in the habit of saying, oh, let's carry over, because then now he carries over and they have more vacation the next year, and then they're just doing the same thing. I mean, what's
Well, and like I mentioned, I got this morning, my concern is that union negotiate contracts, they don't negotiate the carryovers in their contracts. And,
No, it's the department heads that we have 1 week, up to 1 week, right?
Let me-
DPW, I believe,
ASME does.
does DPW?
DPW does not, but
ASME does, yeah.
ASME does.
so I look at this list, I'm just, is my concern overstated? The fact that, people like to take the summers off, and isn't that a busy time for the DPW?
No, in fairness, I mean,
It's,
I'm
you know.
not Dan or anything, but, they are down some people with injuries and things like that, so.
And usually you restrict DPW during snow and ice season from
Right,
having more than one person off.
yeah, usually,
Yeah,
yeah, well.
that's subject to negotiation, but it is a large list.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if the board wants to do it, I ain't gonna make a stink out of 5 days, but I would ask Mr. Kelly, he's, if and when he becomes a full-time town administrator, again, if and when he gets a better handle on this kind of stuff. I mean, we asked the previous town administrator to do it, and here I am sitting at this list
I
again.
didn't know we went through
And
this.
there are
list, yeah.
individuals that, and I'm gonna use Miss Leonard as an example, right? She's against, in the office by herself, doing what she's doing and trying to get the job done and carrying the weight. I commend her for that, and, she's asking for 5. She is not in the union, she's got it in her contract to carry over. I have no issue with somebody like that. I guess I see Kathy Silvers in the DPW, she's got issues, whatever it may be, that she needs to get work done. I wouldn't have a problem with somebody like that. The treasurer collector, I don't have a problem with that. Council on Aging, what's the need, what's the rationale behind it? There's no explanation given to the board other than, I want to do it. I have a problem with that. I'd like to know from these individuals, at least to sit with Mr. Kelly and then to vet that out and say, Mr. Kelly can transport that information to the board saying, hey, you know what, this is the rationale behind this person, this is the rationale, and we can make better judgment on what the hell's going on. But just to come in and say, yeah, because they're doing it and I want to do it, it's been an ongoing thing, and COVID was the excuse, and COVID's gone, and now we have
It
this.
also is like a snowball rolling downhill.
Right.
It picks up speed and, all of a sudden, the 5 days are just carried over every year.
That's what's happening.
Right.
That's what's happening. We discussed this last year pretty much at length, the prior year pretty much at length. Some of the requests for up to 10 days. So,
I mean, I would suggest that, other than union personnel, we look at it and we develop a policy in the future.
Mm-hmm.
There should be certain emergency criteria, or certain criteria, as I said to someone, if someone comes in and says, I'd like to carry over 5 days till July because I just want a 2-week cruise to cruise around the Mediterranean, and it comes to this board and the board says yes, that's the exception to the rule. But to have it every year, it doesn't make
It's been
sense.
occurring since I've been on the board, 3 years on the board. I've seen this, I've been asked this numerous times. So we're going to decide to do this in the future then, and push this forward, or
It's at the pleasure of the board, but I would suggest to the board that whoever sits in this chair looks at developing a policy concerning vacation usage, vacation carryover, and discourage just
Right,
doing
yeah.
it every year,
Mhm.
like all of a sudden it becomes a right.
Mhm.
correct.
I agree.
Yeah,
I get it. I look at the list and I could name off a bunch of them that I could easily justify that carryover, right? Because of the circumstances that are there. But, I can also look at this list and look at a couple of names that are on the list and go, really?
Well, I also, coming from an HR background, worry when people don't take vacation, because then you've got people, if they're not taking vacation, I don't want to see them burn out either. Vacation's there for
I
a
don't think we
reason.
need to worry about that.
Oh,
Mr. Warner, any comments?
No,
You
I
have
mean,
a-
I don't know, I gotta put my thought into it, I know my own personal experience, my day-to-day,
Mm-hmm.
it's a bone of contention because there's never a good time to take time off, right? And so we're always in a situation where you've got time on the books,
Mhm.
right? And I'd like to learn more about what's driving this. I think this last year's been a wash for everything. There's a lot of stuff that just hasn't gotten done.
Right.
Time to hit the reset button. I mean, I guess the question, does this cost us any money? I know we don't wanna have
It's
liabilities on the book.
vacation, so
Right.
you owe them the time. They've earned that
Right,
vacation.
right, but does we've got guests here, so no sense. I'll talk about it offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that much of a source of cost for anything.
So if the board wants to grant this,
Yeah.
we need a
You wanna move
motion
it?
to grant.
Okay, so do I have a motion to?
Motion to approve.
To approve vacation carryover for fiscal year 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let that ride.
Very good.
Look at that.
Yeah. Couple more things, gentlemen, and,
We got 5 minutes.
okay.
yeah.
Next on the new business, we have car wash approval for the Boy Scouts.
Motion approved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, they didn't, I was just, wanted to give them a shout out for when the car wash will be held, but I don't even see that on the, oh wait, we got June 11th, 2021, so the Boy Scouts will be holding a car wash.
Fire Station 1,
Fire Station.
Russell Street.
Fire Station 1, from 9 AM to 4 PM on June 11th, 2021. And the rain date is June 12th, 2021. Thank you. Mr. Kelly, interim town accountant consultant.
Mr. Chairman, we requested quotes from a number of people
Mm-hmm.
that are in the business for quotes. We also talked to DOR for recommendations and for, to our auditors. As you know, our auditors can't do it because that would be a conflict of interest. Certain people entered negotiations and then said they were too busy with other towns and withdrew. Mr. Hassert did present us with a quote of $155 per hour. He expects 1 to 2 days on site and additional services, especially when you're dealing with DOR, who's still remote, can be done remotely. You don't want to be without a town accountant.
No, and our town accountant is leaving this weekend.
2 days.
In 2 days. 2 days, right. So,
There are 16 town accountants or assistant town accountants positions being advertised right now in MMA.
mhm. So it'd behoove us
This
to
gentleman, who I haven't worked with, but I've talked to a number of people about, comes highly recommended, and they tell me that he usually can do things quicker than folks expect.
Gentlemen, any comments?
Just looking at the resume, Mr. Chairman, I'm probably familiar with this individual because I've made some contact with a couple of these towns that he actually works for, and it looks like he still currently does work for.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a good chance that I'm familiar with this gentleman. I'd have to look back on my notes, but based on the towns that I can see, he was very knowledgeable in my conversations. If it's the same gentleman, so if it's Mr. Kelly's recommendation to go with the Hassett Financial Services, I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Very good, Mr. Kelly.
I will talk to him, we will put together hopefully a proposed agreement and present it to you as soon as possible.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Gaspar.
I'd just like to go back on the car wash, just make sure Mr. Kelly gets the proper paperwork for the certificate of insurance, because it does require a certificate of insurance from the individual that's looking to hold for the Boy Scout troop
Yes,
12, so.
Chief Gallagher has it on file.
Okay, as long as we have it,
Very good.
and it's current. Thank you.
Food drive. White's Farm Dairy, sign off. Mr. Kelly, could you give a briefing on this, please?
This is from Jonathan Eichman. He just needs a vote. The motion is, he sent the motion to the board to release lease pendants recorded by the town. The case has been dismissed and by stipulation of the parties, and all to clear title and to get this case totally dismissed. He would like the vote to say that, to approve the release.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the release of the Liz pendants recorded by the town in the town of Acushnet versus White's Farm Dairy Land Court Case number 4, miscellaneous 299663, said litigation having been dismissed by stipulation of the parties.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Very good, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, just quickly, as far as invoice cloud goes, you've got some paperwork in there going back and forth with emails. We have presented to Invoice Cloud on our recommendation of our attorney rewriting of the liability provisions. We've bent, we're looking for them to bend, and we think it will get done. But this is just to show we continue to negotiate, and we want to make sure that the town is protected.
Right, and this is the issue of iCloud where residents can pay
Invoice
their
cloud,
bills.
yep.
Invoice cloud, I should say. Where residents can pay their bills online.
Yep, and it's not that it's taking a long time because of us. It's taking a long time because we have to climb up the corporate ladder every time we try to negotiate with them.
Well, very good, so you'll keep us posted on that?
Yes.
Very good. Next on the agenda, selectmen announcements. Any announcements that anyone would like to put forward?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, I know Mr. Leclerc has the signs, the light up signs outside. I don't know if we have one here. He's got a note here about opening day. I don't recall if I sent this to you, but as a reminder, April 30th at 11 a.m. we are having our opening day parade and want to extend and invite the selectmen of Acushnet. Currently, it looks like all of the favored selectmen will be in attendance, so just a friendly reminder to everybody that April 30th is opening day parade for Little League, AYAA. And I'd like to just say Happy Easter to everybody. This Sunday, I believe, is Easter. And I don't know how you gentlemen, I don't know if you can even comment, Mr. DeRoche, but I have gotten a lot of residents expressed interest in the candidates night for the positions that are contested, so.
There are two, this
Health.
upcoming election, Board of Health and the Select Board itself.
So I don't know who would we be
Well,
contacting, Action, I think it was Mr. Howcroft that usually moderates it, but if he doesn't want to do it, maybe somebody could volunteer to just do a
Well, we have in the background Pam. Pam was also asked about the same issue. Pam Labonte, our town clerk, and I believe you forwarded information to the person asking of John Howcroft to get an idea of how they would like to handle it, because I believe it was Christian D'Souza. I don't know if that's the same person.
I've had several people asking about it, saying how it didn't take place last year.
Absolutely,
So-
last 2 years it hasn't taken place. So I'm all up for it. I know we've had it in the COA, so I think if someone wants to pursue it, they have to step up as moderator, establish some kind of format for it, and proceed away. So any other, I guess maybe not to throw more stuff at you, Lisa, but, you know, if people would call the selectman's office, if we want to handle it.
I would say I would stay out of that one.
Yeah, if the town clerk's office wants to field calls.
Okay,
It's,
there you go, Lisa. All right?
there's some other oriented group out there, like the Lions Club or somebody else, but I think that, I agree, this should stay out of this office.
Okay, very good.
100%.
All right.
And just so the board knows, the town clerk and I are going to be meeting with the new moderator to go over the, to make sure the town meeting goes through without a hitch.
Excellent.
Excellent.
That's what we're shooting for. What all this hard work has been all about.
And that'll be Friday morning at 9. Okay.
Have you talked to Mr. Dakin?
Yes, I have.
Excellent.
Then we'll have to push DPW to 10.
Okay.
Very good. Next on the agenda, for information only, the following boards, commissions have vacancies. Please consider serving your community by submitting a letter of interest to the Board of Selectmen. The Agricultural Commission has 2 alternate vacancies. The Beautification Committee has 6 vacancies. Community Preservation Committee, 1. Housing Authority vacancy, 1. Cultural Council, 13 vacancies. Finance Committee, 1 vacancy. Open Space Committee, 1 vacancy. Historical Commission, 4 vacancies. Future business, gentlemen, Board of Selectmen has a meeting Wednesday, April 20th at 10:30 a.m. At this time, I'm going to go back to our agenda and bring up the appointments on the 3 of our agenda. Tonight we have Representative Schmid from Westport, who will be our new state rep concerning Acushnet.
If I'm lucky enough to be re-elected in November.
I guess we're in the same boat. And we have Representative Strauss, Matt Poyser, who will be a new representative with the redistricting that's happening in Acushnet. And we have Rep. Chris Hendricks, our current rep, who will be leaving us. Now that's all happening the first of the year, correct?
First of the year, correct. The end of this current year, then the district lines officially change. So anybody running any, campaigns, this election cycle will be for the future new lines.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for being able to make it. I know we've been trying to arrange this meeting with the Board of Selectmen and you 3 gentlemen for a couple months now, so we could all get to know each other and to introduce yourselves to the citizens of this town.
Do you mind if I say a few words?
Absolutely, Chris, please.
So first off, Mr. Chairman, Select Board, thank you for having, like you said, this informational type meet and greet, if you will. Obviously, we're here because of redistricting, which we just discussed. We'll be redrawing the lines, so these 2 gentlemen's new district will be overlapping in the town. So we certainly thought it would be prudent to do something like this. I think, just a little bit of background. We have Paul Schmidt. He's lots of experience in the farming, agricultural industry. So I think those issues certainly would transition well into this town. And you have Representative Strauss, who's the chairman of transportation, as you all know. And so just that position alone and his know-how, and he's been on that committee for some time now, will certainly serve Acushnet well, especially considering the issues with South Main Street and all the issues. And actually, that's something that I think we worked on a couple weeks ago with that bill we passed for the Chapter 90, addressed those types of issues small towns can have with states when it comes to construction, road repair, and things like that. So that's all I have to say. Obviously, you guys know I'll be here till the end of the year, so I'm still the representative of this district for the end of 2022. And so, with that, if these gentlemen want to say a few words.
Come up together.
Good evening, Mr. Strauss.
Hey, good evening. Look, this is a pleasure for us, and thank you for adjusting your schedule to for informational purposes tonight. As you indicated, I'm from Mattapoisett, and Acushnet is like a perfect fit. It actually used to be part of this district before I was elected, but Acushnet connected to Fairhaven and Rochester was all part of the same district. I already represent Rochester to one side of Fairhaven, and it's largely a district of towns, town-type issues. I already interact with a lot of the families in town through Old Colony High School and, of course, Fairhaven High. And so, and in fact, professionally, before I was elected, when I was an assistant DA, the Acushnet Police Department was one of the department's cases that I helped prosecute years ago in the Bristol DA's office. So for me, again, as Paul says, if we're fortunate enough and in the election, it's a great fit to me because of the kinds of issues the town comes up to deal with. And I know already in terms of things, the South Main Street issues, I think of it as north from Fairhaven's perspective. Those are issues I've already been working on in terms of I'm trying to think of the polite words, the quarry that you host. Those are already Fairhaven issues, and obviously they've always been Acushnet issues. So some of those issues I look forward to jumping into. The coastal issues in terms of the harbor being the additional community to the north on dealing with the Acushnet River and the port. So again, happy to answer any questions. We look forward to whether it's transportation or other issues or education being as a resource. And I'll turn it over to Paul because he draws on the town representation type experience as well. And we're both really excited and looking forward to this.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bill. And you're right. Like you, I come from a small town environment. Westport is a small town. People like it that way. They want to keep it that way. And I just want to thank the board for giving us a little opportunity to come in and get acquainted. I want to thank Chris for all the work he's done in telling us about the important issues here. I myself operate a small cattle farm, so I'm very well aware of the issues that small businesses face. I've also been a selectman in Westport, so I've sat on your side of the table, and I'm aware of the budgeting issues that small towns face. And we will certainly be fighting week after this, which is budget season for the House. We'll certainly be fighting to improve on some of the governor's recommendations for school money and for unrestricted government aid money. Other than that, I'm really here to listen, and we'll be listening for the next 7 or 8 months and learning all we can. Again, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Gentlemen, any questions, comments?
Well, I think Rep. Strauss, you got the lucky draw with, for us anyway, South Main Street. You being the chair of transportation on that. It's not just a quarry issue over there. It's that thoroughfare, Slocum Street. I think Rep. Hendricks and Senator Montigny, I think with your support, I think there's like $700,000 sitting in a T-bond bill waiting to get released.
It's more than that.
More than that to do Slocum Street. That's been on our agenda for the last 20 years. If there's any way we can somehow spring that money loose, that would be huge.
If it's okay with you guys and Chris, I can start having those kind of conversations with Mr. Gulliver, the administrator.
That'd be great.
The highway department right away. I was with him earlier today, and that kind of thing is, let me say this about the road issues particularly, because we did, as was said, the Chapter 90 bill. And one of the things we've done just the week before last in the House is ask people to think of Chapter 90 in a different way, not just the check and the number, But a lot of towns, and Acushnet would be a perfect example, you may have major projects that far exceed your Chapter 90 budget. So it's kind of like, okay, thanks for the Chapter 90, but we really need, whatever, the intersection. So we've added in a number of categories grant act level funds. So a smaller town can now compete with bigger cities, bigger towns, for money for that significant project on a competitive basis. But one of them is, so we think that that's a way that gets you on the playing field for those bigger projects, not just where the earmark exists that you've identified, but think broader about how the state can be helping with the roads. And also we threw in another $50 million statewide authorization for the small bridge program, which again is state money for pure municipal bridges that frankly, credit to Governor Baker, that program was an initiative of theirs a few years ago. So transportation, I'm happy to say, has been less partisan and more about getting it done. So we've got, in essence, a team. And I will say this, because Chris isn't going far away. He's just, depending on how good your throwing arm is, he's a stone's throw away. We're not going to let him go away, if it's okay with you, in terms of that regional approach for issues that affect Acushnet.
Well, absolutely, because to expand upon Mr. Warner's comment about Slocum Street, I foresee it with the train coming, and if you know where the train station is going to be located up on Church Street, Slocum Street becomes the main thoroughfare down Slocum, up Wood Street, all the way to the end, and you're at the train station at Church Street. So from the residents of Fairhaven and from the residents of Acushnet who are going to utilize the train, this is going to become a busier road, I believe. Not absolutely at the beginning, but as the train takes hold over the next 3 or 5 years, I think you're going to see some development along Wood Street, Slocum Street. As always, the train brings people, and developers follow
I will
the train.
guarantee it. What I think we've all, as a group, wanted the South Coast Rail. We do have to be prepared that when service starts, probably 2023, people will actually complain about it, because exactly what a train like that is supposed to do, which is cause people to move to the area, cause more activity, result in more development. There is that part of it, so we do have a responsibility to get ready for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. Gaspar?
I got nothing really to say at this point. Thank you for coming in and introducing yourselves. Chris, sad to see you go. Not saying I'm a big fan of the splitting up of the precincts for a small town like we have, but Chris has been an excellent state rep. He's always been there to listen to this board, the concerns of the townspeople. He's been instrumental with what's going on down the street over here. I have nothing but good things to say about you, Mr. Hendricks. You've been compared to what we were engaged in with our last state rep. Nothing bad to say about him, but you've really come to the town and been engaged with the community. And that's something that we haven't seen from a state rep in some years. So I just want to say, while you're here, thank you very much for how you've represented.
That means a lot.
As
Yes,
from the
thank
town
you.
of Acushnet. So
It's certainly been obviously not going anywhere, so in the near future. But I'm going to continue to work on these issues in Acushnet, and I'm looking forward to it, in fact. So thank you for that.
I just remembered Rep. Schmidt, Lake Street, and I know Mr. Trahan has spoken to you about it, and you have some experience with Watuppa Pond, weed remediation. So I'd love to chat with you offline about that. I know we've exchanged some voicemail messages in that regard. So whatever experience you have there, we'd love to tap into that.
I'd be very happy to follow up with you, Selectman Wonar. That's true. I've been working in Freetown and Lakeville on Long Pond, and then I've been working down in Fall River and Westport on South Watuppa Pond. So I will follow up with you. And
great, thank you.
Plus we might also have the situation where we are gonna have a bridge repaired, which will be in your district, on Hamlin Street Bridge, which has been in planning now for a long time, and it seems to come to fruition, and then it kind of falls apart right before you get to the starting time. But I believe now that come June.
Yes, and we're going through some preliminary with DOT now to discuss how we have to abate some stormwater issues, and they'll then go forward with construction.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the South Main Street TIP project. But so the board knows, your staff and this gentleman's staff and these gentlemen's staff who've reached out to your staff, there's relationships already forming, and your staff has put together a shopping list to give to their staff that is going to hopefully help the community and help the citizens and make sure that we go forward with our infrastructure repairs, such as the small bridge and culvert. You have issues not only with the sewer and water, but you have issues with broadband and some of that wiring that has to be done. And they have been great dealing with that, and they have in fact proposed an earmark to help us update our master plan so that if we get the earmark, that will enable us to apply for these other grants. And it's really important that our staff has developed the relationship with their staff.
Excellent.
Good teamwork, we hope.
I know the term earmark is considered sometimes, taboo, but
Not to us.
we're a big fan of earmarks, trust me. Earmarks, please do.
Yeah, we don't like them unless they apply to our district.
That's right.
Well, and I know, I'll call you David,
Of course.
because we go way back. As you know, the earmarks are the process where the local legislators impress on the state budget the local priorities. And so that planning grant that all three of us look forward to working on, well, frankly, within hours of the House Ways and Means Caucus tomorrow, is a perfect example to bootstrap or get a process in a small town going on the kind of things that you need to identify where you want to be. So earmarks are a positive thing, frankly, in terms of how the state budget operates, because otherwise, no matter how anybody's best efforts, it's the way to focus any administration's attention.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, all set?
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Great
thank
to
you
see
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time and
Thank you very much.
scheduling this.
Okay.
Nice to see you.
Well, I guess that leaves us with those words. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Thank you very much.
Next.